James Zwerg, better known as Jim, was born in Appleton, Wisconsin, November 28, 1939. Jim grew up in a regular family with his parents and his brother Charles. He and his family attended church in his hometown. At this church, Jim was introduced to the belief of civil equality. After growing up and finishing school, Zwerg decided to go to Beloit College to get a degree in sociology. At this college, Jim became very interested in the civil rights movement because of his colored roommate, Robert Carter. Jim witnessed prejudice against Rob on many occasions, and one day decided to do his part to put an end to it. How did he do this? By applying to an all-black school down south titled Nashville's Frisk University. Shortly after transferring to Frisk, Jim met John Lewis. John told him of the committee that he was involved in that organized nonviolent direct actions. Jim immediately joined the SNCC Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. The first protest Zwerg took part in was at a movie theater. He had bought 2 tickets, one for him and one for a black man who Jim attempted to walk in with. The ending result was Jim being knocked unconscious with a monkey wrench. Most people would be deterred by such an act of aggression against themselves, but this only fueled Jim more. In 1961, CORE, or Congress of Racial Equality, began to create and organize the Freedom Riders. The original rides were ambushed in Anniston, Alabama. Shortly after, Jim decided he would be part of the Freedom Riders. When Jim first arrived in the terminal, he knew something was off. Everything was too quiet. That's when the bus was ambushed. Jim was dragged off the bus into the streets, where the crowd brutally beat him. They bashed his face with his own suitcase and knocked out some of his teeth. One man even got Jim's head in between his knees so the crowd would have an easier time punching and hitting him. Before the crowd could progress any further on the beating, a black man walked by and said, "Stop beating the kid. If you want to beat someone, beat me." That man may have very well saved Jim's life. Jim stayed unconscious for 2 days and woke up in the hospital. James stayed another 5 days after waking up. Little did he know, the pictures of his beaten face had impacted most of the country, including his poor parents. His father had a mild coronary, and Jim's mother came close to having a nervous breakdown. Jim became full of guilt after hearing what his parents had suffered through because of his actions. Along with the initial reaction of his parents causing guilt, their statements of disapproval about what he was trying to accomplish caused anguish and resentment. Jim went through 6 months of therapy in an attempt to finally repair his mental health. Once he felt at peace again, he tried to see how he could help out. A discussion with Martin Luther King Jr. instead set him on the path of ministry. Why is Jim so important? He inspired over 1,000 people to join the Freedom Riders or to participate in nonviolent acts that resented segregation. Without Jim, many Americans who were neutral during the civil rights would have never started helping out by fighting for equal rights. For that, Jim Zwerg is the most influential figure in the civil rights movement.